and welcome to the Patreon board. Well, you got the movie critic dude to thank for this one. It's a newer Pinocchio movie that is among a few that I might have to look at some point, but I think it's safe to say that this one is the worst of them all. So where did this thing come from? Well, it came from Luminescence and licensing brands, if IMDb is any indication. The catalog from the former is not impressive to say the least. But let's go through this movie first before burying it. After all, I wrote off Son of Bigfoot from N-Wave Pictures, only to actually like it in the end. As for today's film, its main writer, producer, and director is Vasily Rovensky, who's involved with a few other films from Luminescence. So, how much of an effect will he have on the others if I end up doing them? Let's find out, because today we begin the true story of Pinocchio. We open at a circus, where some horse is drinking from a barrel.
Oh, you're already here. Well, in that case, greetings, noble signors and signoritas.
I don't know why I'm surprised by this, since the other movies had talking animals. Anyway, he brings up how the story of Pinocchio usually involved Geppetto, but then goes on to say things like,
People started making up some silly stories about growing noses and whatnot. Tell me, have you ever seen a nose grow right in front of you?
No, but then again, if it's a wooden puppet brought to life by the power of magic, then it's not totally impossible. But really, it's just their excuse for them to stray from Carlo Collodi's original story. And unfortunately, said story is the weakest part of the movie.
Now, what should we name you? Giuseppe? No. I know a guy by that name. He's my neighbor. A drunk with a red nose. Maybe Leonardo. That won't do either. He'd grow up to be a selfish actor, or an artist, or a turtle who only cares about pizza.
Granted, a turtle person isn't out of place in this world, but that's just a cheap pop culture reference. Oh, and nice of the movie to make the criticisms for me.
Pinocchio.
Personally, I find his appearance rather dull. Don't you agree, my dear Geppetto? I understand I might be a boring companion, but you could have made a more joyful and intelligent puppet.
Thank you, Daniel Medvedev. Yeah, believe it or not, there are two separate English dubs. The one that you would have seen in trailers and the like featured notable actors like Tom Kenny, John Heder, and of course, Pauly Shore as the title character. But this version doesn't have them. Instead, we have the original English dub from Russia, while the Pauly Shore version was done by Bang Zoom Entertainment. And if you're disappointed that I'm not covering the latter, well, I'll be switching between versions depending on the available footage. For instance, after we see Geppetto return a wand to this woman named Lucilda, she decides to surprise him by using her magic to bring Pinocchio to life. Naturally, Geppetto is rather surprised.
Alive? Oh, I'm alive. Oh, I'm a person and I'm alive. Oh.
Alive! I'm a boy and I'm alive!
Now, Pauly Shore is just as wooden as Jordan Worsley, but there's just something about Pauly's performance that's at least funny to listen to. Time passes and we see Pinocchio riding the horse, named Tybalt by the way, and acting like he's some kind of acrobat. And despite being a puppet, you can barely see the wooden texture on his body, and with his hair physics, he seems more human than puppet.
Don't hurt yourself!
Dad, don't worry, I can't hurt myself. You told me I was made of high quality material.
Let me guess, magic wood that makes him as flexible as humans? Anyway, Geppetto gets a visit from Detective Constable Brioni, who is looking out for suspicious individuals. Not sure why, unless this is referring to people we meet later. But I guess no one knows about Pinocchio besides Geppetto and Lucilda. There's some gunfire in the distance, but before we see what's going on, it's time for the line that everybody memes.
Father, tell me, when can I leave to be on my own? I've got the whole world to see.
And how does Pauly Shore do it?
Father, tell me, when can I leave to be on my own? I've got the whole world to see.
Much better. Geppetto says no, because our hero is too unusual for this world. That's rich, given the presence of magic and anthro-animals. He then worries about Pinocchio's gullibility, but that doesn't stop him from finding the source of the gunshots. Turns out it's from the cat, who's part of a circus. He and Fox are probably the worst looking things in the movie.
How about this? I will shoot the audience, and the fox will be catching the bullets with his teeth.
I honestly expected this a bit more from the fox, but then again, the live-action Pinocchio had a smarter cat, so... Anyway, one of the bullets spooks a horse, causing it to run off with one of the coaches. As Pinocchio talks about having a special dream...
What about my dream?
You have a dream?
Yes, Tybalt, I have a special, most treasured dream.
What about my dream?
You have a dream?
Yes, Tybalt, I have a special, most treasured dream.
He spots the runaway coach and rescues its passenger. Said passenger is a girl named Bella, and her voice acting is... arguably the worst in the movie.
I am, thanks to you. I'm Bella, and may I know the name of my savior?
No need to pause, though I suppose they're trying to match the lip sync the best they could. But anyway, time for another funny moment.
Mamma mia! A wooden boy!
Okay, given that Pinocchio survived the gunshot in the live-action movie, I'm not surprised that this Pinocchio does the same. But it's still so funny that someone would react this way to a wooden puppet. Then again, it's the cat. He's so trigger-happy that he almost never lets go of his gun. And again, human-sized cat and fox. Not to mention a talking horse, but still, why is a living puppet the most surprising thing around here? Whatever. We're then introduced to the girl's father, Mangiafoco, who I'm guessing is this movie's version of Maschiafuoco. He wants to make Pinocchio part of his circus, so our hero decides to pass this idea to Geppetto. The old man isn't thrilled about sending his boy out into the world, but when Pinocchio promises to refurbish the family home with his salary, his dad gives him his blessings. After a pointless bit with Brioni, Pinocchio heads into the city with the circus. At first, it seems like the people are really excited that the circus is in town, until we get inside.
Well, no apple is a match for this marksman.
I want my money back.
I don't know, a cat shooting an apple with his finger instead of a gun would be a pretty cool circus trick, but I guess they want something different, so it's time for Pinocchio to perform. I mean, it is impressive that a puppet can do that, though with this lighting, that would be hard to notice. For some reason, as part of Pinocchio staying on tour, he asks Tybalt to act as his father. It's a little silly, but our hero does need an authority figure to confide in, and Tybalt is probably the smartest character in the movie, even if that's not saying much. Anyway, it's Bella's turn to perform.
Crowd is gasping, what a twist. Somersaulting to the abyss, it's here. I live, not just exist. They are cheering, what a view. I walk the wire, that's what I do. It's here.
It only makes me question the audience further if Bella is the only other act they like from the circus. So now the circus has two big stars, and Pinocchio is popular enough to get his own poster. And wait. They've been performing in the same town for how long now? Oh great, more Brioni.
Do you know what any detective's first job is?
What, detective?
You knuckleheads! A detective's first job is to think! I wonder where they're going next.
Unless you're more specific about your reasons to investigate the circus, stop showing up! You're not funny! Pinocchio overhears Bella singing, and I guess she's the reason why he's sticking around. I suppose this is kinda like with Twinkle from Emperor of the Night, or Giulietta from Pinocchio's Christmas, where there's a female love interest for our protagonist. At least they look old enough for a romantic relationship, though I'm not entirely sure.
You have no reason to be afraid, Pinocchio. Trust me, it's better to regret things you've done than regret things you've never tried.
Fair point, but it's okay to not rush into that sort of thing. Bella overhears her father talking to Fox and Cat about keeping Pinocchio around through her. Maybe she thought that her father would abuse Pinocchio's talent for his own greed, or for another reason we'll learn later, but otherwise, she tells Pinocchio to make a run for it.
You're a great guy, that's true. But it's better if you leave before something terrible happens.
You want me to leave the circus?
Trust me, it will be better this way. You have to leave as soon as possible.
But...
No buts. Get out, leave! I don't even like you.
Well, that's depressing. Anyway, Ken and Fox make fun of our hero for his crush on Bella, because while she'll continue to grow up normal, Pinocchio will always be a talking puppet. Meanwhile, Geppetto feels lonely and decides he's gonna wander off and find his son, who's feeling sorry for himself.
But I guess I'm just doomed to be a wooden puppet for the rest of my damn life.
I'm not sure, but I think Jordan says damned, while Pauly Shore says...
For the rest of my dumb life.
However, one of the clowns tells Pinocchio about a fairy named Lucilda, who might be able to help him out. The only problem is that her home is haunted by evil spirits, which scares the bejesus out of Tybalt, but Pinocchio is going to chance it, while Fox and Cat spy on him.
5 gold coins. He has 5 gold coins, old furball.
But shouldn't we stop them?
No, buddy boy, we really shouldn't.
Somehow, they manage to get ahead and set up a tent, where they're pretending to be Lucilda. Pinocchio falls for the con while Tybalt is a little more discerning, so Cat ends up attacking at gunpoint while wearing a KKK hood. Our heroes manage to escape, though Tybalt thinks he was hit? What? So Pinocchio is back to climbing the mountain to find Lucilda. Thankfully he's on the right track, but that means that the fairy's parrot has to impede him by launching large rocks. Somehow. Our hero finally reaches a spiky gate with Tybalt, and Pinocchio only has this to say.
Supposed to say there is no obstacle you cannot overcome.
You're supposed to say there's no obstacle you cannot overcome.
And they just barely make it over. They find Lucilda in her house, but she can't turn Pinocchio into a real boy for some reason. I mean, the blue fairy had no problem, and there was powerful enough magic from the live-action Pinocchio. Oh wait, Lucilda has that power. But there is a lesson to be had.
Sometimes being human is the hardest thing. If someone wants to be human, all they have to do is be human.
Yeah, that makes sense.
While all this is happening, Monjafuko finds out about what the Fox and Cat did. He takes the news well.
I will kill you two with my bare hands!
I don't see any reason to panic, boss. It's not as bad as you think it is.
Not as bad, huh? What if Lucilda does make him human?
Then he just becomes a really good acrobat. I don't think anyone else has noticed that he's a puppet, but as we see in the next scene, we learn what the circus is really for. Monjafuko is using it as a distraction to steal from the audience members. So while Brioni is on the right track, he thinks the ringleader for this little gang is Pinocchio.
Who's the main star of the show? Pinocchio! He's the shrewd, hardened criminal we're after. He might not get his own hands dirty in the robberies, but it's his wooden hands that pull all the strings.
If you've been following this gang for a while, you would know that Pinocchio was just added in. By your logic, the real brains behind all this should have been Bella. How are you this stupid? Now that Pinocchio is a fugitive, Tybalt wants to lay low, but our hero wants to warn Bella, who Tybalt is suspicious of.
Talk to her? She's just as guilty as her father is.
Tybalt, don't you get it? I have to tell her that she's in danger.
Pinocchio, why don't you understand? This is life. Sometimes your friends are not your friends at all.
Remember, Bella was the one who tipped off Pinocchio about her father. If she really was a villain, why would she do that? Also, it seems like she isn't related to Montefoco at all, meaning she's a victim in this just as well. But of course, this leads to a breakup between Pinocchio and Tybalt. Meanwhile, Bella tries to confront Montefoco, but he laughs at her threats to expose his misdeeds, because even if she had some idea of his wrongdoings, no one will believe her. Moving on, both Tybalt and Pinocchio have their own regrets about leaving each other, both just as dumb, but no one is as dumb as Brioni.
I did nothing wrong! Oh, that's what you all say, but if everyone's innocent, who committed the robberies? Me?
But Tybalt comes back and rescues Pinocchio, rather easily. Man, these henchmen are pathetic. They don't even use their rifles as Tybalt charged backwards. So after the horse and Pinocchio make up, they split up again to get to the bottom of this conspiracy, while our hero tries to find Bella. But Montefoco hid her away somewhere, and he warns Pinocchio that the police won't listen to what he has to say. And of course this leads to a misunderstanding where Pinocchio believes that Tybalt was right and that Bella was with them all along.
Wait, Pinocchio, please at least let me explain.
No, I don't want to hear it.
At any rate, the villains throw him into a carriage, and I guess Geppetto was captured off screen at some point. Montefoco then plans to have him make more puppets like Pinocchio, even though he doesn't have the magic to do it. Also, Pinocchio has to perform tonight, or else bad things happen. Meanwhile, Tybalt runs into Bella, and he starts blaming her for getting Pinocchio into this mess.
Because of you, they're both locked up?
I swear I've never wanted any of this to happen.
Sure you haven't. You were the reason Pinocchio decided to come back. Are you aware that we're wanted by the police? He wanted to rescue you, and now he's behind bars.
I said he was the smart one, yet that doesn't stop him from being a dumbass here. Bella says that she wants to help Pinocchio, and because her handkerchief resembles the one that was on Brioni, Tybalt starts to believe her. He then runs into Pinocchio, who tells him he has a plan to stop Montefoco. The plan is to have everyone sing a song together to warn them of what Montefoco and the Fox and Cat are doing. Naturally, the three villains are worried, especially once Brioni and his crew show up. Tybalt told them about Montefoco off screen, even though Brioni should still be mad about the earlier attack, but with the evidence and testimony, the police are closing in. The slowest spread of fire matched with the slowest reaction I've ever seen. Is everyone in this movie an idiot? Two of the villains are arrested while the cat takes Bella hostage for like 20 seconds. It's almost like he wasted time. Somehow, Pinocchio manages to swing down to rescue Bella. How is this even possible when everything is catching fire rather quickly now? But then... What the hell, movie? Tybalt gets Bella to safety while he goes back in to save Pinocchio, and he recovers the body, but our hero is either dead or unconscious, despite there being little to no burn marks. Everyone cries, and Bella's tears somehow turn him into a human, even though he barely looks different. But how is this possible?
Signora Lucilda, did you do this?
No, my sweet boy. You did it yourself. You sacrificed yourself for another. Only someone with a real heart and soul could do this.
Bullshit!
This movie had been saying that he didn't need to become human to be real, and they made him human anyway? What a load of... Oh, and then the obvious twist. Bella is actually Brioni's daughter, since their handkerchiefs share the same family monogram. And Brioni has been a detective precisely because of his missing daughter, who was taken by Montefoco 11 years ago. If you wanted that sort of character writing, don't make him such an unbearable dumbass. But let's move on, because we're almost done. Everyone gets a happy ending. Brioni has found his daughter, he now runs the circus, which Pinocchio is still part of, and he gets to be with Bella now. We end this movie with one last trick.
Are you sure?
I am Tybalt. Go!
Well, this certainly was a mess. Well, I don't think it's the worst thing I've ever seen. It was neither entertaining nor thoughtful. While the animation and the character models were at least okay, the story is filled with unlikable, uninteresting, and annoying characters. The voice acting was average at best, while the worst acting usually comes from the lead character, regardless of the dub. You either get a Pinocchio with a wooden but decent voice,
I don't want to be one of a kind. I want to be like everyone else.
or a wooden Pinocchio who is so bad it's funny.
Come on, Tybalt. Let's see what it was.
Either way, this movie is not so bad it's good. It would take a miracle for the other Pinocchio movies to be worse, but I doubt that will come to pass. This is the really bad one of them all, and maybe even the worst Pinocchio adaptation, period. Next time, we return to Medius for the Flower Festival, and to see it catch on fire. I'll see you then.